Hey, John here, coming to you on a nice winter day where it warmed up to 40 degrees and it's sunny, so it's actually pretty nice. Some snow lingering here in Duluth, Minnesota. So I'm going to take, I live down this area near like off of 7th Street, and then I'm going to take the path Skyline all the way to around Skyline and 35 there. Proctor, because I work in that area. Besides being a writer, I do have my kind of like my main jobs in that area. I mean, I'm going to try to, at different times I've managed to step above, some of the drudgery of whatever, but anyway, so it's kind of like what you call my day job there, in that area. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, I've done a fair amount of writing at different times, and for some professional stuff and some story stuff. Okay, all the story stuff has been like basically local, but then I did a few things that went into a couple different parts of Minnesota that was kind of like articles, but it was like for a resort, so it was sort of semi like article style or whatever, or story style, as opposed to so basically we're just gonna divide between things that people read for enjoyment, like stories and stuff like that, and even stuff like if it's for like a technical magazine or something like that, yeah, stories. Then there's stuff like blog type writing and stuff like that, where ghost writing, that kind of stuff, which is stuff that is like a little more shady kind of stuff or whatever, not as enjoyable, but it can make you some money. So I've done some of that stuff too, but at least it shows that I can kind of write I can write anything from this Reader Weekly, just a real kind of whimsical kind of it's kind of like freestyle, where I can just kind of like ramble about anything, and it's a small budget place, so it's not like they have time to really check people that tightly, like a place like a big publication could, but anyway, but they like it to kind of be that style, a little more like little more like informal. But, so I could do anything to that, to writing stuff where it's ghost writing stuff where it's like I was actually at some points like writing like posts that were supposed to be for like a CEO of some pretty big company, and now I can't say it all, like what I think I'm okay just saying that I've done that. I mean, obviously I think I could get like really in trouble or sued if I actually said what the company was, or who I had worked for, because obviously that at least to me it wouldn't reflect too well. You'd think if I knew it was like some it wasn't the C-suite guy writing it, but this kind of semi-unemployed kind of guy, or whatever, kind of like just like some guy like me writing this stuff who doesn't know anything really about business. But a lot of businesses I've found that writing is just about like coming up with some good cliches, But anyway, not that I'm making fun of it. I mean, that's just sort of me telling the truth. But I did enjoy working with the people I worked with, and I'm willing to, whoever I work for, I want to do it to whatever style they want, So I'm not, I was happy for the work there, doing some of those things as long as it lasted, But anyway, now some of those things too, they're because it's all about boosting social media. I guess even if you write something that's good, if you don't write something that's really gets like good like SEO and good searches. So anyway, yeah, I'm rambling on about my life in a little bit as I go on Skyline Boulevard, this section of Skyline, which is the most scenic road in Duluth. It's on this ridge that overlooks the lake and everything on the top of this kind of mountain here. And it is this first like mile or two like inland from the lake around in Minnesota. It's not that high mountainous as far as like elevation. It's not very high elevation, but it is as far as it's a big uplift at a short time, and lots of this rock and stuff that you see, rocky outcroppings, So anyway, and then yeah, and Skyline it's used as a through route and stuff, but mostly it was built as like a tour, thing where you could enjoy seeing the city, and there's lots of turnouts along the way. So anyway, if you're a Duluth person, this is probably who'll be looking at this, you probably know all this already, or even a Minnesota, because we have lots of people coming from other parts of Minnesota, like the Twin Cities as we call it here. And now Duluth, I'd say it's a big tourist thing, in the summer mostly, but there's still like a fair amount of winter tourism, like especially right now. I would expect it, there might be some people up here today, except it is a Monday, so it's not gonna, or no, what is today? No, today's Friday. Yeah, there could be, because it's kind of like above average weekend, in the winter, so there might still be people coming up here to, enjoy it. Okay, now you can look down and see West Duluth there. So there's St. Louis River, the estuary as they call it, and then there's the West Duluth area down there. okay. But I'd say, for the most part, I'd say Duluth is more like a area of kind of like regional tourism, where it's like a lot of people like the Twins. If you just look at the license plates, you see a lot of like Wisconsin, Minnesota plates and Wisconsin, but you don't usually see a lot, during the summer. I don't usually see a lot. I kind of noticed that, okay, probably the next most common is probably like Illinois, and then my home state, Missouri, I've actually it's only been a few times that I've seen them, and I wondered, like, if I ever saw one of those people go up and say, like, hey, are you from St. Louis, because that's, because chances are they're either from St. Louis or Kansas City. Now, it is much easier to get to Kansas City here from Duluth, just it's a straight shot down 35, but, so I guess maybe it might be more likely that it's Kansas City, but, Anyway, let's enjoy the scenery here a little bit. So yeah, it snowed like a couple weeks ago, and then it's been warm, and it didn't snow that much, but it's and so a lot of this stuff is melted depending on where it is, certain areas, like where, if you're like near the lake or above the lake, like we are here, or if you're really far above the lake, because I guess even along here you probably still get like some, on Skyline, the top of the ridge line here, you do get you probably still get some of that impact from like the warmness from being warmer by the lake during the winter. But yeah. Yeah, I already did another video on, I guess I'm going to do a lot of videos on Skyline, and we'll see if one of them particularly. I basically have two ways of getting to work. It's either by going Skyline or going 35. So, and this is more the scenic route. Obviously, a lot more in. Careful. You gotta be careful going up these hills with that light right in your eyes. If there was like someone on a bike there or something, tough to see it. Yeah, so So there's basically just two ways to get from, let's say, like Duluth Hillside to Proctor, or Spirit. I'll just say Spirit Mountain. I mean, they say Proctor, but Spirit Mountain is more like descriptive of what, where we're going, because Proctor could be someplace further north, and it would maybe where there'd be some other route to take. So let's just say Spirit Mountain, Go take a look at some of the industrial stuff, but yeah, it takes about 10 minutes longer this way on taking Skyline usually. I guess I still got to do that sometime. Do like do the entire Skyline. That might be more likely to be like a video that people would want to watch. But they did have it like earlier this year. They had it closed off where you couldn't. Okay, I didn't know. I felt like my car was kind of like moving a little weird, which I guess there is something in the suspension, but it was like, I think it is just kind of pretty windy going through here, I guess. Okay, I'm gonna find a place to pull over here for a second. I just want to check my tire. Next turnout. Well, okay, because I did have a tire that I've been kind of like keeping filled with like this pump, because I should have gotten fixed. And so I checked it out visually. It may have been, but the thing's feeling a little bit weird. Oh no, this is bad. Now I'll stop at the one at Haynes. It's okay, but I didn't really want to like have to cross this thing yet until. Okay, it'll be okay. This is a really nice area here. This big cliffs here at Haynes. Now I don't know like how it does look like there is like, you know, a natural pass that goes through here, you know, like a which is probably where they built the road through here, but I don't know how much it was blasted. Now this is one thing that kind of like a little bit of a misnomer. They really should have made Skyline where you didn't have to go through this kind of stuff. If it's supposed to be like a relaxation road, it should have been made where we had to like make this type of intersection like to kind of ruin the mood, you know. So anyway, I mean, but that's one thing I don't like is there is a few places on Skyline where you have to actually get kind of off of Skyline, and go through some BS, and you know. Anyway. And plus, I always kind of wondered if, like, is a road still, like, considered the same road if it's, like, if it's discontinuous like that? But, you know, because it's not, you know. I guess you could say, okay, anyway. Okay, I'm just going to pause this for a second. Okay, it turned out my tire was fine anyway, so. But now I can enjoy the trip more, not, you know. I'm thinking I'm going to have a blowout or something, so. Anyway, might as well do it quick. Okay, so this is the Haynes Road and Skyline overlook here, and I guess, I mean, this might be the best one. I mean, this is one of the best ones anyway. It's one of the biggest ones, definitely. And now, unfortunately, all these, they do have a thing saying that you're not supposed to be here. I think is that after 10, park closed 10 to 6, which I always thought was discrimination against night people. Maybe there's some people who like can only, maybe against vampires, or maybe just people who only like being out at night. I always think it's like, hey, it's up to the police to like keep things safe, whether it's night or not. You can't just say, oh, you can't, you know, this curfew thing or whatever, you know. So anyway, that's just my opinion. Okay, so there's the lift bridge, and then oh, you can actually see way out in the distance there's like a ship coming in there. Yeah, okay, we don't have time to wait for that, but anyway, it looks like it's a big ship coming. You can just see it on the horizon there, or I mean, it could be leaving too. That's, you know, we can't tell. And so that's the main lake. You got the main, okay, the different strips of water, the main lake, then you have the bay, basically what I'd call the bay, which would be anything between that strip of land. Okay, so you got the open water, then you got that strip of land, Park Point, okay, then you have the Blotnick Bridge. So I'd say anything between the Blotnick Bridge and Park, I'd call that kind of like the main bay. I don't know what they officially call it or whatever, but anyway, and then you have this St. Louis River estuary, but it's still deep enough here that it for up to a certain point to where big ships come in, so it's still part of the port, and you know, and whatnot. So that goes on for a long ways up there. Like it gets like further up there, it gets kind of like where it's like more like it's pretty wide, but then it's pretty shallow, and then eventually the St. Louis River, it ends up going up, like climbing up into, like, you know, up the same like ridge line, which is down in that area, you know, that curves around to that area, and then it goes, you know, becomes like rapids, and there's actually then this, and there's a big drop at the St. Louis River, and there's like there's a Minnesota Power hydroelectric plant there, you know. So anyway, yeah. So we'll just. See, that person on that bike was hard to see. I mean, they were going the opposite way, but you know. Some pretty high cliffs here, and there's more. There's a lot of places along here where there's kind of like some lookout, some pullouts that are maybe fit one or two cars, you know, a little more, so you'd say a little more private pullout, you know. I guess it'd be a little better if I didn't have all the salt in the window, but you know. Okay. But I hate to say I don't have any liquid in my thing right now. Yeah, so this is definitely an amateur operation, you know. But it's more real, man. It's a real person in Duluth. A couple of big boulders up in those. That's interesting when you see more like those boulders instead of the big piece of outcropping, when you see just kind of like the big boulder sticking up. I kind of wonder if like the area around it is then still mostly dirt. If you could, like, you know, I don't know. I wonder, like, when I see like this rock, how much of it is like just part of one giant massive rock, you know, which is like the entire bedrock, and how much of it is like what you'd say is actually like separate pieces of rock, you know. This is where it makes Skyline makes this giant loop where basically if they had a bridge in the one spot where you just go right across, you make it, but if not, you have to basically go through this big what would this be called, like a switchback or something? I don't know what that means, but anyway, it's a big curve around like the river instead of like going straight across, you know, to make it more gradual. So you're going up here, crossing this river here. I think it's Keene Creek, I believe. There's a nice dog. Yeah, Keene Creek, okay. And then, okay, and then, yeah, so now we're going back to the other side of it. Okay. Yeah, so it's really nice out here, pretty. It's kind of like a warm day, but it's got this nice kind of sparse covering with snow. Icicles. Now in different spots, depending on the time of year, and in some spots, in some of these may not be running. There may not be any water at all, but there's a few, like there's a couple like waterfalls along the way here down this road here. Which, I mean, there's a lot of waterfalls all along. Here's another good like spot to stop there on the left. That was like where it's like a trailhead to the Superior hiking trail, and there's a nice bridge there, which I did. If you go back and look at some of my other videos, I did that. I was at that bridge before, but okay, that's one of the other annoying intersections you got to go through. Okay, so different stretches. Okay, like that one stretch we were on by the cemetery and all that. I guess I didn't really. Or wait, hold on. This is. Yeah, that was Highland there. Okay, yeah. So, oh shoot, I'm trying to remember. Oh no, I guess we're not. No, I guess we haven't gone by the cemetery yet. Okay, I'm getting a little confused here. I forgot. Let's see. Oh yeah, I think we did already pass the cemetery. You can go back to the video. I didn't really mention that, but because it's like, okay, because yeah, it's like Highland like runs like below that cemetery, Oneida Cemetery, and then Skyline, and that was like the intersection there where they meet. And then, anyway. Now this particular section has a fair amount of like houses and stuff. Now some of them you can't see, but there's some sections of Skyline where there's almost no houses, and then there's some where there's more. Then there's some parts of Skyline where it just looks like a regular like city street. You couldn't really. There's some parts I think it just looks like a city street where I'm not sure you can actually really even see the lake from there. Anyway. But yeah, you can on the Reader Weekly, you can look at my articles. I'm trying to kind of merging a little bit like my YouTube stuff, using it to kind of in the writing stuff to kind of promote each other. But I don't know. It's kind of tough to tell because I don't know if like a lot of times people who watch a lot of YouTube videos are the same group who really like to read like newspapers and stuff. So I don't know. It's, you know, I mean, I'll admit there's lots of times I've gone and just like been someplace, grabbed the Reader Weekly because it looked cool, and then like only read a little bit of it. You know, I mean. but if you want to look at there's an online version. Now they're not putting all my stuff online, but they're putting most of it. Yeah, so go to that DuluthReader.com, and then yeah, there you go. So if you like just reading articles, you can do that. So that's probably more likely. It's maybe just people who are into like YouTube and stuff probably aren't the same people who like to read like the paper copy. They're more likely to read the. Yeah. Okay. I should actually tell them what they should have. They should have their like a YouTube channel, but I don't know if they were going to do that. Maybe ask if they want me to do it for me. Can you hear me, guys? Okay. But I figure, I can do this, and I can kind of like I can promote my stuff and also let people know about the Reader Weekly too. So it's kind of like working me. So I'm helping out by doing these videos. I'm helping them too. Not just myself. Let's see, what time's it? 2:40. Oh, you know what? Yeah. I can't go all this way and not show you this, so we'll show you this real quick. Let's see. Okay, so we're above the Thompson Hill turnout. Rest area, but okay, there we go. And although you can't, the only thing is like the rest area, I don't think you can really see that much from parking. You have to be like get out and go into the visitor center. It's a real nice visitor center, which but you can't really. So anyway, okay, so this is the St. Louis River estuary here. You can see all the islands. I think that big one there, I think that's Clough Island, which for a while they were talking about building some kind of like luxury golf community with actually gondolas going up to like Spirit Mountain up there, which is our ski place. Can you imagine that if that actually went through? Anyway, I'm glad it never went through, And then eventually what happened was some kind of like charity, some kind of like environmental group or something, protection type. It was some kind of like private kind of, whatever it was some environmental group that bought the island for like a couple $1 million, and now it's just now I used to live, can you see it from here? I used to live like down in this area in this old, okay, well, you can kind of see that marina down there. Anyway, I used to live down in that area. We actually we canoed over there a few times, and we saw like the old house, and yeah, you can really, there's a big area to canoe. Now there is a lot of fishers, you got to watch out, but for the most part, the water is pretty shallow through there, even though it's wide, and so you have to kind of like, if you're in a bigger boat, like I was in my dad's boat, we had to you got to make sure to look closely and now it's kind of easy with like the depth finder, to stay like in the channel, but there is like a channel that goes pretty far, but it's kind of narrow, and you gotta, anyway, so that's, I think most of all that area there is like the Superior National Forest. I mean, not the Superior, no, I think it's the Superior Municipal Forest, so it's actually a forest owned by the city of Superior, which is up here, and although the borders of Superior, I think, go pretty far there, even though past, so it's actually a forest that's owned by the city of Superior, so that's pretty nice. And yeah, and there's some nice places, and you can see it. Yeah, it's looking pretty kind of muddy. Maybe that's kind of ice there. And then I'll just show you the people over here looking at it. Okay, maybe I should film them and see what if he's giving a better tour guide than me. And then, anyway, yes, that's pretty nice. And anyway, so I better get going. I got to work at 3 o'clock. And you can see some railroad cars down there. And anyway, kind of like, so what you have here, and I kind of mentioned that in the article I just did about it being kind of like in Duluth, it's kind of like a mixture. Some of the views of like, heavy industry and like, heavy industry trains and that kind of, ships and stuff. And then, and like rugged beauty, like all the cliffs and stuff, all that water, and, so it is like that. And by the way, that thing about them calling it a freshwater estuary, I don't know if that was a little bit as a tourist thing, but because the definition of estuary was usually, it was like, an extension of the ocean inland where it's where there's still tides, and it's usually deeper, and it's anyway, and it's mixing with salt. But I think they're just saying it like, basically what they're saying is like that thing is not so big because basically anytime you have like a river that enters like a body of water, a big large body of water, you get kind of like an area that's deeper. A lot of times, might be as deep as like the big body of water, like the ocean or the Great Lake or whatever, but yet it still has kind of like that original shape of the river, like the Columbia River up to like Portland is like that. Where I think because it's pretty far inland. I don't know if it's like 100 miles inland, but it's up the Columbia River to Portland, and you know, but it's still like deep enough to be a port and everything, and be like, you know, so it's like, now this intersection really sucks, I gotta tell you that. It's like, you need to put a light here, so you always got people coming from 10 different directions. About to hit you here, and then if you come up that way, you can't like see above that. I can barely like see above that thing to see if there's a car coming. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, City of Minnesota DOT, like fix that intersection, please. Anyway, yeah. So here we are by the Holidays and McDonald's, and although actually let's do a little bit. Let's see. I got a few. I'm gonna go a little bit further here, and then yeah, let's see if I can get a good shot over this bridge here. Let's see. But actually, yeah, okay, we got a few minutes. Let's go take a look at. Do I have time to go to like Spirit Mountain real quick? Like I want to see if they had that one parking lot open. They had it closed like that. Okay, so they were making snow. You know, I said no, like a day before then the rain, where you could see them doing it right before the first snowfall, and obviously they're going to keep making snow. And one thing about it that maybe it's almost a little bit disappointing to a person who didn't come from this area and had a little more like glorious view of like the Great North and everything, that there actually isn't even enough snow. They have to make snow, that it doesn't just like, there isn't like, even this far north, there isn't just always like naturally enough snow, you know. So that's maybe that'd be a little disheartening, or like breaking like your, okay, I better get going. Oh shoot. Okay, let's see. I gotta find a way to turn around without getting stuck in the ice here. Let's see. Oh yeah, let's just go up here real quick. Okay. Well, I'm just saying, I mean, maybe people who grew up, they think that's just normal, but I'm just saying I think it's just you have a certain view of like what things are like. So obviously, so by that statement, you can see I did not come from, I've been in Duluth like 15 years, but I didn't come from, I'm just saying that was my impression before that. It's like, you know, I didn't realize that, you know, in a place like Duluth that they actually would have to make snow and stuff, you know, but of course part of that is just so they can have the season be as long as possible. Oh shoot, oh man, I gotta get out, I gotta turn around for getting stuck in some traffic. Okay, I can just make this circle here. Okay, well I might as well end off with something that looks kind of interesting. I'm gonna hit someone here because I can't see with my light shining. Okay, there's a ski lift. Okay, so yeah, it looks like Spirit Mountain is going great, you know. There's a chalet. I did ski here a couple times, like, so I've downhill skied like twice in my life, but it's been quite a while ago, but it was kind of like right after I first moved here, kind of like excited about everything northern, you know. I mean, obviously you got to be a certain amount of fitness, and you know, as time goes on, you know, but I didn't find like the skiing to be real hard, you know. Just like I'm not that athletic, but just for your basic skiing, you know, where you just like, you know, I can stay up most of the time, just do a lot of crisscrossing, just keep myself from going too fast, you know. So I tried cross country skiing a couple times, and I didn't really like it because it just, to me, I always got the idea that like push, then you like glide like 100 feet, where it's just like, it seemed to me you were just like having to pump the whole time almost. And the other thing too is that they have to make those tracks, and so that kind of made like, oh, it's like an artificial thing, so you can't just go on those things anywhere. So that, okay, so I guess I get upset. So we get upset when it doesn't like fit like our imagination, like how we imagined it being, you know. It's like, it's disappointing, right? But I did get into sailing after I lived here for a while. Although that's a summer sport, but I didn't really live in a place before they had that, you know, enough where it's that easy to go sailing. So that definitely like maybe like exceeded my expectations. I mean, I ended up really liking that, so that was good. You know, it was better than maybe I imagined. Okay, and then there's the train tracks here. So you got the lake down, I mean the river down there,
And then you got these train tracks here behind McDonald's and hotel here. And yeah. And those these tracks, the trains that go down there, they end up down there by those ore docks. And I believe probably most of the trains coming down there are for the ore docks. I mean, don't quote me on that. I think there is other places they can go. I mean, I only kind of understand how the rail network works a little bit, but yeah, so that's kind of cool. Anyway, all right, talk to you later. Hope you enjoy.